Alright, okay, welcome to the channel. My name is Coach Mark. I focus on bodybuilding, weight loss. Today we're focusing on a leg workout that's going to target the quadriceps, hamstrings, the glutes, and the gluteus medius. You're going to need one light resistance band, one medium resistance band, and as well as one heavy resistance band for today's workout. Let's do it! Okay, so workout exercise number 1 is the straddle walk. We're going to need a resistance band placed around our lower thigh just above the knee, and we're going to get into this low squatted position and take small steps to the side. A beginner level would be starting at a 45-degree angle with the knee, and a more advanced level would be coming down lower to that low squat. We're going to do this for 45 seconds, taking about 3 steps to each side, and your goal is to stretch the band out on both sides. So as I'm taking the steps, I'm stretching the band out with both of my knees, opening it up each step. Okay, we're going to rest for 60 seconds in between the sets. You can pause the video in the meantime. Getting into our second set, I've used a heavier resistance band. I've got the medium resistance band on now, and I'm able to still stretch it out on both sides, opening up my knees, extending it, staying low the entire time. I'm going to work through these 45 seconds, making sure to keep outward pressure on my feet, resisting the inward movement of my ankle. You want to maintain contact with the big toe, but keep outward pressure on the foot. Alright, making sure to hydrate in between our sets. And now we're going on to our third set. I'm going to increase the resistance again. I've now got the heavy resistance band on. And you want to make sure you're using a resistance band that you're capable of stretching out. That way we work those side muscles of the legs. I'm even holding my hands together to create more core stability. You can keep your hands together, or you can use a light dumbbell or a light medicine ball. At this point, your legs will be burning, but no pain, no gain. You need to push through it and go as long as you can, making sure your knees don't come inwards. You're keeping your knees out. And then moving on to our fourth set. Okay, taking deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. And here comes our fourth set. As you can see it from another angle now, I'm staying low, trying to almost reach 90 degrees with my knees and maintaining it every step. Still stretching that band out. This time I'm squeezing my hands together for extra core stability. Taking deep breaths. At this point, just pushing through the pain. It's okay to take a few seconds of rest, take some deep breaths, and then get back into it. And that concludes our first exercise. Moving on to our next exercise. Exercise number 2 is the side step squats. For the side step squats, we want to make sure we're maintaining a straight back when we do the squat. We stick our glutes out, we keep our knees out, stretch out that resistance band, and keep outward pressure on our feet. I'm taking 2 small steps, changing my stance from wide stance to close stance. The goal is to target those different muscle fibers and really stress the glutes, quads, and hamstrings. Starting off the first set with a light resistance band, I'm also keeping my hands together for extra core stability. I'm staying in the lower range of motion, or you can come up and squeeze your glutes by drilling your feet into the floor. Moving on to our second set now. going to increase the resistance with the medium resistance band now. After taking 60 seconds rest, getting into that second set. Same thing, it's going to be a little harder to stretch the band out this time, so you're going to have to really focus on keeping the knees out on the way down and on the way up. This way we target the gluteus medius and we keep it working the entire time, as well as that TFL, tensor fascia latae. Always important keeping outward pressure on the feet, taking deep breaths during every repetition. And try to just work through the pain and finish up the set. Then we'll move on to our third set, where I'm going to increase the resistance again, choosing a resistance band that I can still stretch out comfortably. Moving on to the heavy resistance band. Alright, so I'm going a little bit slower, keeping outward pressure on my feet still, staying nice and low the entire time, and you can see I'm still stretching that band out as much as possible. Okay, this exercise is really going to pump up those quads. Try to fight the pain in your legs and keep pushing through it. Get through that set. Moving on to the fourth set now. You can see it from another angle here to see how my back is nice and straight on that squat. I'm sticking my glutes out towards the back of the room. Still stretching out that band, keeping my knees out, outward pressure on the feet, maintaining contact with the big toe, trying to keep that natural arc of our foot alive. Resisting the inward movement of our ankles, keeping that outward pressure. Starting to squeeze my hands together for some of these reps, just to create that extra core stability. Deep breaths. Trying to get rid of the lactic acid buildup in our legs. And finished our fourth set now. Moving on to our next exercise. This one's going to target the gluteus medius more, and that TFL, some outer muscles on our legs and our glutes. These ones are side kicks. We're going to lay down. I like to do them in this position with my elbow on the floor and my other hand for extra stability. You're going to put your legs straight as possible. Nice stiff ankles. That resistance band is going to go around your ankles, and we're going to stretch it out towards the ceiling, coming down slow, up fast, and down slow. Doing 4 sets in total, 8 repetitions on each side. Okay, so counting to 8 for each leg. As I'm stretching one leg out, I'm also putting outward pressure on my leg that's on the floor. Time to switch sides and do it again for 8 repetitions. I'm jumping right into it, no breaks. Your other glute will be a little sore and fatigued, but still try to push through this second set and balance it out with your other leg. Coming up fast, trying to pause for a second, and then come down slow. Try to resist that band from pulling you down. And that concludes our first set. We're going to rest for 60 seconds, hydrate, and then get into the second set, where I'm going to use the medium resistance band. This one's very difficult, but I'm still trying it out with this medium resistance band. As you can see, I'm stretching it out as much as possible, trying to get my leg right up to the ceiling as much as you can. Try to have nice, big, reps here with a large range of motion and not just small reps. Choosing a band that you can actually stretch out towards the ceiling. After 8 reps, switching sides. You can also lay your arm on the floor, getting right down to the floor. I like that position as well. With your elbow or with your arm completely laid down works just as well. Keeping a nice stiff leg. You can see my quads are even being contracted here during this exercise for stability. My leg on the floor is resisting it, pushing down towards the floor, and my leg towards the ceiling is pushing outwards at the same time. On to the third set now. I've had to reduce the resistance because it's just too difficult for the muscle. It's not one of the strongest muscles there on the sides, and you've already gone through 2 other exercises. So with the light resistance band, I'm doing 8 repetitions again for my third set. You can even put your hand on your hip to feel that muscle working and also create some mind to muscle connection. This position is also good for stability. Switching sides. As you can see, I'm still getting a nice stretch on that resistance band. Kicking my leg out all the way to the ceiling and coming down slowly. Making sure I get all those repetitions. Trying to maintain a nice straight leg as much as possible. On to the final set now. At this point, the muscles really fatigued, but also nice and warmed up, able to get some nice repetitions in, extending that band all the way up. Look at that range of motion and coming down slow. My leg is still nice and straight. This way my glutes are activated and all those muscles can be worked. Final 8 repetitions now. Push through those reps, even if it's impossible, keep pushing through it and balance it out to finish up this exercise. So that was the side kicks. Now we're moving on to the kickbacks. We're going to have the resistance band wrapped around our feet, placing our hands shoulder width apart on the floor, knees kind of close together, and stretching out that band by extending our leg backwards. So this one's going to target our glutes and our hamstrings, trying to get a nice straight leg when we kick it back, and then come in slow. You want to explode and then come in slow. Again, we're doing 4 sets with a total of 8 repetitions on each leg. Switching sides now. As I'm kicking out this resistance band, I'm trying to activate the muscles in my glutes and hamstrings. I want to feel a contraction there when I push it back. Make that mind to muscle connection, and then come back slowly, trying to resist the force of the band. Kick out those 8 repetitions, and then we'll move on to the second set. 60 seconds rest, hydrate, and get into the second set. We're going to increase the resistance. The glute is one of the strongest muscles in the body, if not the strongest. It's the largest, so we're able to increase the resistance with this exercise. Now I've got the medium resistance band on, and I'm extending my leg all the way back and coming in slow. Contracting the muscle and coming in slow. Push and resist the band. Switching sides, becoming more explosive on my reps because of the resistance of the band. Straight leg and come in slow. And that concludes our second set now. Moving on to the third set, I'm going to increase the resistance again, moving on to the heavy resistance band. A little bit more difficult to extend my leg back and get it straight, but because I have a big range of motion still, I'm able to use this band. If not, keep it with the medium resistance band if this is too difficult. Getting out 8 reps still on each side, contracting my glutes every repetition, and switching sides now. Nice straight leg every rep, taking deep breaths, coming in slow and out fast. In slow, out fast. Hands are in wide position now for extra stability as it gets more difficult. And that concludes our third set. Now moving on to our final set. I'm going to keep the resistance heavy because I was able to do that last set no problem. This one is going to be a lot more challenging, but still good to stress the muscle, the heavy resistance band. Extending, and as I come in, feeling that stretch in my glute muscle. Feel the stretch, then explode. Switching sides, taking deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. Kick that leg back, and come in slow. Make sure to get those 8 reps on each side. They should be nice clean reps, getting that leg straight. Focus more on the form and the contraction than a poor form with heavy weight. Alright, on to the next exercise. Moving on to exercise number 5, the clamshells. We're going to place the resistance band around our lower thigh, just above the knee. We're going to place our feet together and kick our heels in towards our glutes, creating a nice angle with our knee around 45 degrees. We're going to do 4 sets and 8 repetitions on each side. The goal is to open up your knees, making your leg perpendicular to the floor, and then close it slowly. So fast, and then come in slow. I'm just resting my elbow on the floor for support, and doing 8 reps on each side. Here you can see it from another angle. You see me kick my heels in to form that angle, and then opening up the band and closing it slowly. Explode, and close it slow. You can feel that mind to muscle connection by placing your hand on the muscle that's working, feeling that contraction of the glute, opening up all the way and closing. 8 reps on each side. Slow and control. Taking 60 seconds of rest in between. Increasing the resistance now to the medium resistance band. Here it is from another angle, so you can see how my leg is opening up and getting perpendicular to the floor, nice and straight. Resting nice on top of your other foot, opening up that band, and then closing it slowly. Contracting the glute muscle every rep, taking deep breaths. And switching sides. When you switch sides, your other glute will have already been worked, so it'll be a little bit harder to get that other side in, but try to balance it out as much as possible, creating nice symmetrical muscles. Opening up, getting perpendicular every single rep. You want a full range of motion here to get a tight contraction on the glute. So choose a resistance band that you can actually open up all the way, instead of getting one that's heavier and doing just small reps. On to the third set. I've got the heavy resistance band on now. I'm still able to stretch out this resistance band, opening up as much as possible, getting perpendicular to the floor. I'm pushing down on the floor with my other hand for some extra assistance, but it's good to have your hand on that muscle itself so that only the muscle is working and we're isolating the glute. Switching sides, going to try to open up this band as much as possible. As I'm extending this knee out, I'm also putting opposite pressure with my other knee towards the floor. So you're opening up both knees, but one knee is just resting on the floor. So you're still contracting both glute muscles as you get to these heavier resistance bands. 8 reps on each side, full range of motion, and moving on to our fourth set. I've had to reduce the resistance down to the medium resistance band because I wasn't able to open up the heavy one all the way every rep, and you want to focus more on the form and the contraction than the resistance when it comes to these workouts. So with the medium resistance band, I'm able to stretch it out all the way and control it as well. It's very important to do slow and controlled reps. To make it more challenging, just make some pauses at the top of the reps. So opening up and pausing, and then coming down slow. The longer you pause, the harder you contract the muscle, the faster the results. As you can see, lots of muscles are actually being worked. Even muscles of the calves are being contracted in this movement. So you're going to get a huge leg pump during this workout. And on to the next exercise. Final exercise, number 6, is the flutter kicks. These are going to target the hip flexors and your lower abs mainly. You're going to use a lot of core for this, and your legs and quadriceps will get pumped up as well. Doing 4 sets, 45 seconds each, trying to go as long as you can during that 45 seconds. I'm warming it up without any resistance bands for my first set, so just using the body weight of my legs, kicking them up, keeping them nice and straight, and holding my hands together for some extra stability with my core. My range of motion is very small, staying in that lower range of motion towards the floor, but not resting my feet on the floor, always keeping them off the floor. That was our warm-up set. Now I would like to add some resistance to stress the muscle. The hip flexors are not the strongest muscle, so this one is very challenging. So you may have to just stick with your body weight, but if you're strong enough and you've worked your hip flexors a lot before, then you can try it out with the resistance band. With the resistance band, you're trying to stretch it out, keeping your legs slightly apart so that there's a little gap between your legs still. So you're stretching it out upwards and downwards, but also out to the sides as well, keeping your legs apart. That way we're working the side muscles of the hips as you stretch that band out wide, and also the hip flexors as you stretch that band out up and down. Doing nice small kicks, feeling the tension on the band every repetition, and pushing through that 45 seconds. On to the third set now. I've increased it to the medium resistance band. Okay, this is very challenging. I'm still able to stretch it out every rep, and just trying to get through as many seconds as possible without taking a break. I'm taking deep breaths, squeezing my core, and not resting my legs on the floor. If it gets too difficult, take a few seconds break, but then get back into it as soon as possible. Okay, deep breaths. And repeat. Stretching that band out as much as possible every rep. And finishing up our third set. Moving on to the final set, I've challenged myself by increasing it all the way up to the heavy resistance band, really working the hip flexors and lower abs. Stretching that band out every rep, really explosively kicking my legs, but still trying to keep them as straight as possible. Fighting the pain, trying to get through that fourth set as much as possible. Almost finished this set, and this will conclude the workout. So 6 exercises we just completed. Your muscles will be very tense, so it is time to stretch. Getting into our stretch now, we're going to start with a forward fold, hands towards the floor, and putting 2 hands on one foot, and then the other foot, or as low as possible. Placing one hand behind the ankle, your other hand will reach into the sky, and do so with the other side. Behind the ankle, reach into the sky, look at the ceiling, placing both hands on both feet, and behind the ankle, we're going to slowly bend our knees, keeping our elbows inside our thighs, and outward pressure against the thigh to expand our groin and stretch out our groin, rocking back and forth. Then extend your glutes into the air, and slowly stretch it out. Now into a lunge position, we're going to extend that leg back as far as possible and push our pelvis into the floor and moving our weight forward. Getting as low to the floor as we can to stretch out our hip flexors here after just stressing them on that last exercise. Then rocking backwards, sitting on our heel to stretch out our hamstring and calf, as well as the quadriceps of our opposite leg. Going to do the same thing with the other side. Getting into the lunge position, extending our leg back, placing our hand on our hip, pushing our pelvis forward towards the floor, leaning forward. All of our weight is forward now, sinking our pelvis into the floor, stretching out our hip flexor, getting lower and lower, opening up our hip, and now rocking back into that hamstring stretch, as well as stretching out our quad that is on the opposite side. Try to connect to the stretch in the muscle, making sure we're stretching each muscle sufficiently. And moving on to our next exercise is the downward dog. Slightly bend one knee and then the other while planting your whole foot on the floor. Try to apply upward pressure through your palms and then come up and back down, keeping a stiff leg. Keep applying pressure through your palms, and we're coming into the pigeon pose. Cross your leg in front of you and extend your other leg back. Bring your chest to the floor and rock back and forth. Do the same thing with the opposite leg, and here you can see it from a better angle. Sink into the floor by breathing out after taking a deep breath. Melt away and finish up our stretch with a butterfly position. Grab your ankles, pull them in tight, grab your toes, and bring your head down. You can apply pressure with your elbows to your thighs, getting a nice stretch in your groin. Rock the boat, going back and forth, touching your knee to the floor on each side. Then hold your toes and bring your head down. Extend your legs, come into this position, and grab your toes on each side. 2 hands on one leg, and then 2 hands on the other leg. Repeat to feel that stretch in your back and legs. and pull yourself forward. Then bring your feet together, finish up our stretch with some pulses, moving our toes, stretching out our ankles, and we will stand up and complete it with a forward fold. Reach for the sky and then reach for your toes. Hope you enjoyed this video, guys, and we will see you next time for another workout.